Welcome back to my channel. I'm Traybid. I don't have any tomes handy, but that's okay because today we're going to take a look at Goodreads and see what's coming up later this year. Let's talk about it. We're about halfway through the year. I thought it would be a good time to go and look at upcoming releases one more time. I did this, I want to say, toward the end of the year last year. So some caveats here. We're looking at the Goodreads releases by my authors, which would normally be very helpful. But I have pretty much completely jumped the ship from Goodreads to Storygraph this year. And so Goodreads has none of my data, none of my information from pretty much this entire year. So while this will be several authors I have read and are very excited about, um, it will not be everything, and anything that I put here that I want to read, I'm going to have to go onto Storygraph and add those as well. Before we get too much farther down in the comments, let me know what are you excited about coming up this year? What are your most anticipated books for the rest of 2026? Let me know if there's anything I'm missing or that just didn't show up for whatever reason. Uh, I love to hear recommendations and get that conversation going down in the comments. So, like with that out of the way, let's take a look at what we have here. So, we're starting in June, which is already halfway over. So, I'm not going to go through all of these. I think I'm going to skip over most of June, but I did want to shout out A Darker Shore. This is Lee Bardugo book set in Ketterdam, which appears to be a like mystery book. So it says, in the years since the violent upheaval caused by the auction of Kawayobo, the merchants of Ketterdam have been under attack. Secret businesses exposed, ships sunk, slavers hunted as they once hunted their victims. All the work of mysterious sea captain and her ship, the Wraith, which I think we know if you've read the books. That is a familiar name. Uh, Now, two investigators meet to uncover the truth behind the latest disaster, a massacre on an island off the shores of Ketterdam. Among the evidence collected is private correspondence between the notorious crime boss Kaz Brecker and an anonymous sailor aboard the Wraith known only as I. Follow along with the lead investigator as he tries to piece together how such a disaster transpired and explore the Grishaverse like never before with new illustrations by E.K. Belcher and in-world collectible items. So I know that that Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom recently got a re-release, and there was some contention about the direction that that re-release was going, in that it eliminated a lot of the indications of age for the characters. So I wonder if this is going to do the same thing, um, which is a weird choice. It's weird. But I liked both those books, and I like the characters, and I like this idea of a fantasy mystery. So quite possibly, I will be taking a look at A Darker Shore, and it is Six of Crows 2.5. So maybe a novella. Do we have the page count? 64 pages. Yeah, a novella. Almost certainly going to get this one. So we'll go ahead and click that. I want to read that one. All right. Let's head back and jump into next month. So what's coming up in July? So Sea of Charms, I talked about, I think, in the last time we did this. This is the next Sarah Beth Durst, in the same series as um, the Spell Shop and the Enchanted Greenhouse, I believe, is the second title. So let's look at what else we have. We have so we have a new Sylvia Moreno Garcia. I really liked Silver Nitrate, and I did not care for the other book I read from her, which was, I believe, uh, Daughter of Dr. Moreau. Let's see. From the New York Times best-selling author, Velvet Was Night comes a sizzling noir about desire, danger, and greed, in which seduction is the ultimate con. I am a sucker for noir, so let's read further on this one. All right. Handsome con artist Ulysses has long charmed lonely women via letters to steal their money, but money is hard to come by in 1940s Mexico. Ulysses knows these looks won't last forever, and he's desperate to get his hands on a real fortune. He thinks he's found it when he captivates his newest correspondent, Perla, the owner of a small town boarding house in picturesque Veracruz. But when he meets her, he finds something he didn't expect. The woman has a niece, Ines, who is observant as she is desperate to escape her aunt's household. When Ines discovers Ulysses' true intentions, she wants in on the scheme. They convince her aunt that Ulysses is a great catch. Perla will marry him and get her money and vanish, easy, fast, and clean. But Perla is not the desperate, silly spinster Ulysses imagines. She harbors secrets, and although Ulysses does not believe in true romance, Ines is more alluring than he bargained on. Suddenly, a simple plan might become perilously complicated. Venture to the streets of a small town where the patina of convention and good manners conceals a cauldron of avarice and lust. I mean, sounds like a decent noir. It's just not what I'm looking for right now. So I don't think I'm going to add that one. And like I said, I've been hit or miss with Sylvia Moreno Garcia. So I think I'm going to skip that one. A new Elizabeth Lim book. This is the same author as that duology. Was Six Crimson Cranes, I believe, was hers. A bracelet, a curse, and golden fish bones to be returned to the sea. Wandog 1940. When Ha Ying nearly escapes Japanese soldiers by turning invisible. She knows her newfound magic must be something. Yeah, interested enough to give that a click. Uh, she knows her newfound magic must be kept a secret, but her mother, whose dreams foretell a future, suspects her daughter has changed and warns her of a curse upon their family. For her protection, she gives her a gold bracelet whose links are shaped like fish bones. After the war, Ha Ying is sent to live with her father and his second wife, who have become wealthy factory owners in Hong Kong. Her stepmother, jealous of her beauty, forces her to work the family's shoe factory. But when Yu Ying collides with a boy on a bicycle on her way to work, she loses her bracelet. The boy is Tommy Ying, scion of the local soy milk tycoon, and their encounter will change both of their destinies forever. Sounds fine. Um, Again, not really what I'm after at the moment. So, but one I will probably keep an eye on. Cool Machine, Heartstopper, I've already put as one to read. Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, and they don't even put the subtitle here. We're going to add that immediately. I already know that this is one of my 26 for 2026. This is Rite of Spring, so the sequel. If you're not familiar with Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, this is about a world full of anthropomorphic animals, and we're following a serial murderer. So, uh, who's trying to? In the first book, they're trying to hide their nefarious deeds. Eisner nominated cozy horror comic series. I don't know if I'd call it cozy horror. It's pretty graphic. The sequel to the critically acclaimed first volume. It's been 8 long years since the bloodlusting brown bear drove into the city, kidnapped a young duck, dissected his body, and buried the pieces in the woods. The duck's like cozy. I don't know. The duck's family painstakingly sought justice, but this brown bear was smart. She covered her tracks, and in the 80s, there simply wasn't a way for the duck's family to find answers. But it's not the 80s anymore. Almost a decade after cuddly brown bear Samantha Strong solidified herself as the sole serial killer in Woodbrook, the world is entering a new era. As Samantha will soon find out, there are no secrets in the age of the internet. Those who lost loved ones to her massacre haven't given up the flame of justice. A reckoning is coming to Woodbrook. Join visionary writer and artist Patrick Horvath. He returns to the hit series that's taken the comic world by storm. I mean, sounds intriguing. I wasn't quite sure what the premise was. Like, I was going to buy it just on like the interest in the first series alone, the first volume alone. But the idea that it's a good time later, and we're dealing with the ramifications of a increased technology, and the idea that these families from the first one are still not giving up. The Hunger in the Dusk, Volume 2, Ultimate X-Men. Yeah, we're going to read that. If you're not reading Ultimate X-Men, you really should. It is probably one of the best things that Marvel's putting out right now. Marvel's kind of on the downward slope between like the Marvel and DC. I'm not going to read the Ultimate X-Men Volume 4, but you should check it out. It's like Peach Momoko's Japanese sensibilities put onto the X-Men characters with a lot of really good back material to talk about the different cultural things that are brought up with Japan. So I really love this series. I think Volume 4 is going to be it. I think that's the last in the line because each of these is only running. I want to say like 15 or 16 volumes, something like that, or 20 volumes. Anyway, however much it is for it to wrap up in Volume 4. The burn line, I think Amanda was telling me about this a while back. I don't think I've marked it as to read, but this is Jonathan Sims, the same person who made the Magnus Archives podcast. So a really good podcast and one that and I've read their other two uh, books. I really liked 13 Stories. I thought that their second book, Family Business, was okay. Both of them felt like extensions in a way of what he was doing on uh, Magnus Archives, but 13 Stories kept it in like short bits that all kind of wound together in a finished product that was really good. Whereas with Family Business, it was like a story I'd already heard, a story I'd already heard from Magnus Archives, just like extended to an entire novel. So the burn line. There's something lurking in the stifling darkness and labyrinth and lab. There's something lurking in the stifling darkness and labyrinthine tunnels that run below London. Something old, something vicious, and something very, very hungry. It's the hottest summer on record, and London is dying. Prices are high, pay is low, and stress commuters are packed into London Underground trains again, like the pandemic never happened. To add to the misery, the temperatures underground just keep climbing and climbing, the heat trapped in the clay with nowhere to go. And one fateful morning, five travelers on an unlucky tube carriage find themselves bound together as witnesses to a single horrific event, an event they can't quite seem to remember. They make an unlikely team: a weary tube driver, disillusioned civil servant, an ambitious clay trader, an overwhelmed hotel worker, and an unhoused young man just trying to get by. But now they must come together to confront what they have seen and stop it in its tracks before it kills them all. Dark and Twisted Mind behind 13 Stories, Family Business, and the podcast sensation of Magnus Archives. Burnline is a sinister and socially conscious horror masterclass, perfect for fans of Stephen King, Jordan Peele, and Black Mirror. Yes, we will be picking that up for sure. That it sounds great. Sounds a bit like The Silence from Doctor Who, as far as like they can't remember what happened, and also sounds like The Midnight Meat Train, if you're familiar with that short story or very odd film. Amuse Bouche, G. Wilson, surreal psychedelic saga that blends horror, romance, and mythology. Oh, it's a Poison Ivy arc. Probably not. Sacrificers 4, a darker short again. Weird. Okay. Mossed in Space, the fabulously cozy adventure from Rebecca Thorne featuring shenanigans in space and how it feels to find friendship and family. Sure. Let's take a look at Mossed in Space. Cozy adventure story. We can go with that. Um, Journey is more important than destination, which is great because they're definitely lost. Torian Rasner finally bought a starship, and contrary to Amelia's assessment, it was not a meteoric sign of stupidity. Sure, the alien starship may have been abandoned for centuries, and it may be covered in moss now, but it's Torian's ticket to freedom, regardless of what her ex-captain said. Except Torian's first flight reveals a surprise that Moss is actually an organic computer with a snarky attitude and serious abandonment issues. The target of its loathing, the immortal alien who built it, and then parked the starship with Moss inside and forgot about it. The same alien who just found Torian and accused her of stealing the ship. Entirely possible that Amelia was right about this meteoric stupidity. Firefly Adventures in Space, lovable alien cast of Mass Effect, coziness of Legends and Lattes. This is for you. I mean, that sounds good. And it's from the author of Can't Spell Treason Without T. That's a series that I need to finish. But I really enjoyed Can't Spell Treason Without T. This looks like a space version of that. It also seems like it's pulling in the idea of like a sentient spaceship, which I recently read in oh, what was the vampire monster one? I can't remember what it was called. Monsters and Mainframes, and I felt like that book dragged in the middle. So this and that, but that was a debut novel, um, and this is from a seasoned writer in this space. So I have faith that it will be good. So yeah, did I click want to read? I'm going to click it again. It's on want to read. Dead but Dreaming Electric Sheep was already on my want to read list. That was a Paul Tremblay book. Would have covered that late last year. Something's Killing the Children 49. These are like the individual like floppies. I'm getting that for sure. Number one best-selling Waterstone Prize shortlisted author Emmy Varga returns. High-stake, action-packed romance fantasy featuring a relic hunter searching for an ancient fate object. Emily Varga. Okay, I'm looking at the author first, and I think I know. Yeah, okay. Yeah, for Shia's Wrath, that was one of my Fairy Loot books, and I thought it was fine. House of Slaughter Deluxe Edition Book 2. I'm going to put that on want to read. That's already on my list, though. So again, if you're not reading Something is Killing the Children or its offshoot books, House of Slaughter or Books of Slaughter, um, read Something is Killing the Children, and then decide if you want to go down the rabbit hole of this entire extended universe. But I really enjoy it. New Riley Sager book. In 1926, 5 women disappeared from a remote island in Vermont. Now, 100 years later, it's happening again. Struggling actress Maureen Keane is shocked when she lands a role in a major motion picture. Maybe, but I will probably pick it up in an audiobook. Riley Sager has been hit or miss for me as far as horror writers that I really enjoy, um, like modern horror writers. I think Riley Sager's kind of okay, middle of the road for me. Not my favorite. Big Little Truths is a sequel to Big Little Lies. First sequel that Leanne Moriarty did. I don't know if Big Little Lies needed a sequel. I will probably wait for reviews. Probably the same for the Riley Sager. I will wait for reviews and wait for like the buzz and see if it's something for me. Daggerbound T. Kingfisher Deluxe Edition, beautiful hardcover featuring bright pink sprayed edges, a foil case stamp, and end papers. Fantasy World. Which one is this? I like a lot of T. Kingfisher, but I don't know which one this is. Okay, it's Sword Heart 2, so it's just getting a deluxe edition. Good to know if you're a fan. But I'm gonna stick with the T. Kingfisher novellas for now. Immortal Game, enthralling new romantic fantasy. Okay, which one is this? Because it's almost certainly another one of my Fairy Loot boxes. What did she write? Fragile Enchantment. Yeah, that was fine. So I'm gonna pass on that one. The burnt. Okay, this is the burn line again. Like it's a different cover. Oh, is it the American cover? Is it the UK release and the American release? That's a sick looking cover though. I gotta say, I think that might be ours. I would be fine with either. The Silent Appeal, modern Agatha Christie, a follow up to her blockbuster debut novel, The Appeal. Okay. Is it a novella or is it a full book? 430 pages or 480 pages. This is a full book. I've read The Appeal and I've read The Christmas Appeal, I think is what it was called. Um, I like this style of book. So Janice Hallett uh, writes these mystery novels where the detectives are given all the information and you're not given like a clear, what's the word? It's not like a clear, like narrative. It's more epistolary in a lot of cases. You're given a lot of these files and then you have to figure out, what happened and put the clues together. All right. So it's a follow up to The Appeal. Features the Fairway players again as they put on Agatha Christie's play The Hollow and find themselves embroiled in murder, blackmail, and betrayal once again. Welcome back to Lower Lockwood. The Fairway players return with Sarah Jane and Kevin McDonald as committee co-chairs. This year they've chosen to stage Agatha Christie's The Hollow, but additions aren't the only problem. Sarah Jane's sister, Nikki Rose, is suddenly back in town under mysterious circumstances, having sold her home in Barbados, left her business providing entertainment on cruise ships, and moved back to their mother Carol's house. As always, they're short on men, and new player Fran Elroy Jones enlists a young married couple and the husband's cousin to join them. No one wants to play the part of the hated Gerda, leaving Kevin and Sarah Jane with no option but to reach out for an old member they know would be happy to perform any role. As with any production, tensions run high, and their intrepid lawyers, Demi and Charlotte, are tasked with uncovering exactly what happened on the opening night of The Hollow and whether the correct person has taken the blame. I'm going to mark it as want to read. I don't think it is what I will pick up next from this author, just because I've already read two stories with this group. And I don't know, there's something about the repeated, uh, deaths and horrible things happening to this one acting troupe that kind of stretches credulity after a while. Sua is one that's on my list. When's this coming out? This is August. Okay, I've only got a little bit. I've got the summer basically to get through Yuli. Yuli is book 3 in the Guardians of Dawn series. I love Guardians of Dawn so far. It's been great. And this is going to be book 4. The final entry. Okay, I thought that might be the case because of kind of how things had kind of wrapped up. I wasn't sure if it was going to be 4 or 5. Um, but this is something that is akin to um, like a Sailor Moon type thing, where each book there were these generals of this Dark Lord introduced, and I think there were 4 generals. There's 4 members of this group, the Guardians of Dawn. Um, is it 4? I've read 2. Yeah, yeah. So it's gonna end up being 4. Um, and so I wasn't sure if it was going to be 4 and they would fight each of the generals and be done, or if it was going to be 5, they fight all of the generals and then there's like uh, one final thing. I've not read Yulia yet, so I don't know if I want to go and read the description for this, but I do want to read the book for sure. Teen Titans Together, uh, a new team up. Sea of Charms is there again. DC KO Justice League Unlimited. Probably not. Omnibus Volume 2. Oh, we already had Omnibus Volume 2. I'm pretty sure I owned a special edition, so maybe Omnibus is different. Maybe this is still paperback. The Art of Getting Hammered. Murder is her masterpiece. What use is a part-time serial killer who doesn't want to kill people? No matter how many rude or irritating potential victims cross her path, Claire can't seem to get. I think I know who this is. Yeah, you look better as a ghost. And then we have the Dead Friend Project. Huh. Is this a series? Hold on. All right. Let's see if this is a series. And this gives us hints that this is a series. Claire can't seem to get her mojo back, but even the overly chatty woman in the supermarket or the man who stole her neighbor's dog can't motivate her to get out of the zip ties. And a lucky break and a new job at a local pub gives Claire the perfect someone is spiking drinks and causing mayhem. But as Claire starts to close in, punters start dropping like flies, and for once she's not the one doing the killing. It's someone else murdering her in her patch. Claire has questions, and she's not afraid to use her hammer to get answers. Okay, so Claire. Was Claire the protagonist of You Look Better Than Ghost? This is not one that I thought would be a series, and I don't know how I feel about it being a series. Yeah. Trials and Tribulations of Claire, part-time serial killer. So, third book in a series? I don't know. I don't know if I want this to be a series. It was rather intense. In the end, I guess it makes. I mean, it makes sense that there'd be a follow up, but I just don't know if this is one. And I enjoyed the first book. I enjoyed You'd Look Better as a Ghost. I just don't know if it's got enough material in it to keep a series going for 3 books. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Conan the Barbarian. Probably not going to pick those up. Deadbeat by Lee Bardugo. I want to say this is one that I already looked at, but let's go ahead and read the synopsis. So now we're up to things coming out in, what is this? September? Yeah, we're up to September now. The explosive conclusion of Ninth House trilogy. Okay, this is not one that I looked at. I am not reading Ninth House. So that's not what I thought it was. I was thinking of another book. Taipei Story by R.F. Kuang. I read Catabasis by R.F. Kuang. I liked it. I know there's some people who were really not fans of it and feel like R.F. Kuang is kind of not aping on other things, but kind of like uh, I don't know. The criticism I saw for Catabasis specifically was that it was a little bit too autobiographical for her. From R. Kwong, the moving coming of age novel that grapples with grief, language, and culture shock, all set against the backdrop of an unforgettable summer in Taipei. College freshman Lily Chin is off to spend the summer in Taipei at an intensive language program like so many Chinese American students before her, hoping to connect with their culture she inherited but never fully understood. But a promising start quickly unravels. Her classes are grueling, her roommate is driving her insane, and a reckless trip to the hot springs with a guy she barely knows soon has her classmates viciously gossiping. She feels adrift, a foreigner in a country she thought would feel like home. Then shocking news Lily's grandfather has passed away. The loss forces her to grapple with a now unanswerable question about her family history. As Lily grieves, she's drawn into a journey of self-discovery, piecing together memories, stories, and silences over a series of hilarious and devastating attempts at connection. Taipei Story, What if the diaspora family of homecoming never comes true? What if learning a language can't bring you any closer to the people you're trying to reach? What if you search for your family's history, but your family doesn't want to share? What if you wait too long to ask the right questions? As Lily struggles for answers, her summer becomes a poignant search for understanding of herself, her family, and the meaning of home. I mean, so literary, what is it? Literary fiction is not really my genre. But if I was going to pick up one, I think this would probably be one I'd gravitate towards. And it's definitely one that, assuming the what's the word I'm looking for? Not trigger warnings, the like content warnings weren't too egregious on this one. It'd be one I'd probably want to get for my classroom library. Like a lot of my kids can identify with this idea of moving to a new country or moving to a place where you don't speak the language and having to navigate that. That's why we have what was the Korean one? It's a graphic novel. I'll put it if I think about it, I'll put it up on screen here. That's a very popular title that my kids often look at. All right, Murder at the Grand Alpine Hotel, high in the Swiss Alps, accessible only by a single winding railway, stands the luxurious Grand Alpine Hotel with glorious mountain view and exclusive access to powdery slopes. Then someone dies there. Lucy Foley. Lucy Foley. We're gonna get this and listen to it on audiobook. Yeah, I've listened to every single one of these books on audiobook with my wife. So we already know we're gonna want to read it. Let's go ahead and see. It's gonna be okay. So predictions before we even look at it, because Lucy Foley writes like one book over and over again. Everybody is terrible. We're fairly rich, and pretty much everybody has a motive to kill the person who ends up dead. All right, let's go. All right. Da-da-da-da. Glorious mountain views and exclusive access to powder slopes. It draws guests far and wide. The notorious actress, the high-flying politician, the society wife, the reckless friend, the shrewd doctor. But not everyone is here for a winter holiday. Beneath the champagne and furs, dark histories simmer. That's another classic thing from Lucy Foley. Old grudges emerge like cracks in the ice, and someone is watching from the shadows. A polite, unassuming woman with an extraordinary mind, Miss Marple. When a body is found and a blizzard cuts off all escapes, only Miss Marple can connect the clues before the killer strikes again, because this isn't a question of who has the motive, but who's next. Isn't Miss Marple a Okay. A Miss Marple mystery. So how is this working? Is this adapted from something that is already is Lucy Foley now going to take over the Miss Marple line? Maybe. I've not read any Miss Marple stories. Maybe that would be a good thing to look at before I decide to dive into this one. But again, my wife and I we read the Lucy Foley thrillers together, so a murder mystery will be fun. Hollywood Ending by John Green. Number one best-selling author John Green makes his much anticipated return to fiction. Behind the scenes Hollywood love story brilliantly confronts the private cost of a public life. I've not read any John Green fiction. I feel like a lot of his is aimed more toward young adults and just not my kind of thing. I really liked Everything is Tuberculosis, but I don't think I'm going to pick up a fiction book from him. A wolf sets out on an epic journey for. Oh my God, it's Scott Hawkins. Okay, my friend was telling me about this. Yes, smash that. Want to read so hard. Scott Hawkins has written exactly one other book, which is The Library at Mount Char, and I love that book. It is one of my favorites of all time. And then now he's writing this one, and it sounds bizarre. All right, let's take a look at it. It's very very odd. Um, A wolf sets out on an epic journey of revenge in this one of a kind dark fantasy, the long awaited second novel from the author of The Library at Mount Char. The wolf Blacktail is faithful to his forest god, but in these times faith is not enough. His world is besieged by men. Soon his territory will be overrun and there will be nowhere left to go. When his mate, a house dog, is killed, Blacktail rebels. He invades the house of her owners, seeking vengeance. Blacktail's fury catches the notice of an ancient and terrible feline witch who makes an offer. What if Blacktail could end the human race responsible for the death of his family and the destruction of the natural world altogether? To do so, Blacktail must find and wake the forest god. Only he might stand against the plague of men. Blacktail knows that his north woods are dwindling to nothing. He sees no other choice. As Blacktail journeys farther from his wild home and deeper into the world of man, he encounters strangers, animals, mortal and otherworldly, who, for their own reasons, want to help Blacktail rid the world of humans. Along the way, it becomes clear that there's more than just a wolf. The forest god is sleeping, yes, but what will be the price of waking him? Hmm. I mean, it could be literally anything, and I would probably pick it up because it's Scott Hawkins, and I'm so hyped that he's writing another book. Pictures of You by Josh Mallerman. Probably not. My experience with Josh Mallerman has not been super positive. One becomes the unknowing subject of an artist's dangerous work. This intense Hitchcockian thriller. Probably not. Galinda, sister volume to Elfie #1. Author of Wicked shares the eagerly awaited origin story of Galinda. I've not read enough of the Gregory Maguire stuff to be interested in that one, honestly. Baldur's Gate 3 by T. King Fisher. Maybe. I played a little bit of Baldur's Gate 3. I need to play more. But the fact that it's T. King Fisher makes that tempting. Like, hey, if you're a Baldur's Gate fan, like, that's good. Like, T. King Fisher's a solid writer. She's a Doll by Barbara Truelove. So who is Barbara Truelove? That name does not strike me as okay. Yeah. Of Monsters and Mainframes. Okay, I was just talking about that. Oh, I think I did hear about this because this is probably being released by the same imprint, which is the Jason Easy Cat Jason. His imprint is the one that published the first one, so probably this is the same. Lucy isn't a normal girl, ghost, victim, killer. She's a doll on a mission to find the man who killed her and return the favor. Lucy McQueen has been murdered, but she's not about to go quietly. If she doesn't get to keep breathing, then neither does Kyle, her killer. Possessing the body of an antique doll, she sets on a quest for revenge, but it's hard when you're 18 inches tall and made of porcelain. For help, she turns to Nicola, a human and fellow outsider with her own reasons to hate Kyle. But in their small, idyllic town, no one wants to hear the truth, especially not about a promising young man. If they can't expose his crimes, Lucy will have to roll up her lacy sleeves and teach him a lesson the old fashioned way, as slowly and painfully as possible. LA Times bestselling author Barbara Truelove. She is a Doll is a ghoulish and gleeful tribute to the unstoppable power of female rage, a love letter to the friends that have our backs in this life and the next. This is another one that I'm going to wait for reviews on, just because, again, I was like so on Monsters and Mainframes. I thought the premise was awesome. I thought parts of the book were great, but I felt like overall it meandered too much in the middle. Um, the Rouge, China Millville, defining work, 20 years in the making, a deeply moving decade and continent spanning epic of personal grief. Maybe. Uh, maybe. I did put the silent appeal on one to read. Okay. Let's look at it. Let's see. It's 20 years in the making. Oh no. Read the actual thing. All right. Mar's life has been shaped by loss and apparently ordinary tragedy, but in its aftermath arise deeper, stranger questions. The answers may lie within dark heart and darker history of an old soldier who shares Moore's obsession and who is violently pursued by the same unknown, unquiet forces. So begins a book unlike any other, at once encyclopedic and multitudinous saga of a bloody century, an intimate story of two lives, their loves, regrets, and secrets, a terrifying journey into infinite mystery. That sounds 1,260 pages. Yeah, epic 20 years in the making. I don't know. This one sounds like I've read Miaville for like the Scar, like the fantasy stuff that he writes. That sounds like it could be amazing or it could be just not my thing. It really depends. Building 903 by Lewis Laurie. The tradition of her best-selling award-winning phenomenon, The Giver, delivers a story about censorship, comfort, complicity, and the radical power of books to open portals. The Only Way Out is Up by Django Wexler. Small-time scrapper and his pet robot will fight their way out of the junk heap in a tournament that will either make them richer than the gods or rip them apart in the first book of Django Wexler's something. Okay, who is this? Who is this? This is How to Become the Dark Lord and Die Trying. I like that one. We have the sequel. I have not read it yet. All right. So yeah, that's definitely helping their cause. Lightning paced progression fantasy novel adventure for fans of Cradle and Dungeon Crawl Crawl. So progression fantasy adventure, fun times. I like that quite a bit. So let's read it. Hodge lives in a junk heap, scavenging scrap to keep his family fed and dodging the monsters who live among the wreckage. His only edge is a smart-ass contract named Star. He built himself. Hodge dreams of winning big with Star in the construct fighting circuits. The victory always seemed just beyond his reach, and the debt collectors are at the door. His world changes forever when someone there makes him an offer that seems too good to be true, a chance to fight in the Ascent, the ultimate fighting tournament, for a prize beyond his wildest fantasies. The things that seem too good to be true usually are, and Taj finds a new benefactor comes with plenty of new enemies. As he ventures beyond the only world he's ever known, he discovers it's not just his money on the line of the Ascent, it's his life. When you start at the very bottom, the only way is up. Yeah, we will add that to the list. Sounds good. I like the author. Solid writing. Rick Riordan has a new book coming out, The Wild Zone. What goes on at Camp Half Blood in between Percy Jackson's legendary quests. I don't worry. I don't wonder about that. But if you are a fan of Percy Jackson, you might wonder that and get the answers in this book. We Turn Gruesome at Night. Eric LaRocca. Is this a short story? Nightmare's second installment of a new trilogy of provocative, disruptive, and beautifully poetic queer horror set in small town New England. From Bram Stoker finalist. So it says second part. What's part one? I read Eric LaRocca. We are always tender with our dead. We turn gruesome at night. I would have to look up We Are Tender with Our Dead, which I might. But I read Eric LaRocca's short story collection. Travis Baldree got something in the works. Tales from the Territory sounds like it could just be like short stories, right? World fell in love with cozy fantasy world of number one New York best time sellers that started with Legends and Lattes, continues to bookshops and Bundust, Brigands and Bread Knives. Travis Baldree takes us back to the Territory in a heartwarming set of 5 stories, 3 making their first appearance in Tales from the Territory that give readers a brand new look at beloved characters. So this is probably there. So there are backup stories, and I know there are ones you can read online about the characters. So it seems like it's those 2, which I think I've already read. I can't remember if I finished the one that stars the goblin from the 3rd book. Um, at Goblins in Greatcoats. I don't know if I finished that one. Tale of murder and intrigue that introduces Zil, a goblin with too many pockets and a disturbing affinity for cutlery. A rain-soaked night that features 4 adventurers, a pair of corpses, a junk drawer knife, some unfortunate taxidermy, and a beleaguered warden. We all know what happened in Legends Lattes, where Viv opened up a cafe and ended up with a found family and perhaps the love of her life. Just a thimbleful tells how the most beloved of his family members, Thimble, found his way from a frustrating and unhappy house to creating sweet treats that brought Legends and Lattes to life. Tandry is a succubus, and being a succubus comes with, well, certain expectations and pressures. In Myrograph, we meet Tandry as an art student at Akers University, trying to find a way to be seen as someone else, something more. And in the longest story here, Cavaliers and Coffees, we get a glimpse of trouble for our cafe crew when a new and unscrupulous business comes into town, stealing all of Viv and Tandry's ideas, undercutting them for price, and putting everything they work for in peril. Oh no! It's the small business nightmare. The corporations coming in and undercutting our sales. Tales from the Territory is another triumph of low stakes, high fantasy, friends trying to make their way in a changing world. Yes, I didn't realize what was happening. I've read, like I said, I want to say I've read Goblins in Greatcoats, but I will read it again. I love me some Travis Baldree. I have something like 5 or 6 copies of Legends and Lattes at this point. So yes, I love that series. We're gonna skip the Chuck Palahniuk book because I haven't read one of those since I was in college. Blightfall, I believe I heard about this. This is a new Sanderson sci-fi. Yeah, Riftwake. So I don't know. Like I'm willing to take a chance on a new Sanderson title, a new Sanderson property. After decades of war against alien oppressors, the humans of the Defiant Defense Force are finally free. Yet for Arturo Mendez, leader of Skyward Flight, freedom isn't what he thought it would be. This is sounding like a sequel to Skyward, or very far in the future, possibly. His first post-war assignment seems to be that DDF has found evidence of other settlements of humans who were isolated during their long war against the aliens, and Arturo and his flight of pilots are to escort a team of diplomats as they attempt to make contact. It's an easy mission. It's an easy mission. Get in, guard the diplomats, and get out. But no element of this mission turns out to be simple. Lightfall is inhospitable, surrounded by mysterious debris, and covered in giant invasive forests that have swallowed most of the planet. I love killer sentient forests. That's one of my jams. Upon arrival, Arturo's team is attacked and quickly becomes clear that this human settlement isn't what it appears to be. Now trapped in an unfamiliar world and unsure who to trust, Arturo and his team must find allies, and uncover long buried secrets if they hope to escape and return home. Yes, put it on the list. I liked. Now, I wonder, because here it lists Brandon Sanderson, but if you look at the actual thing, it's Brandon Sanderson and Janci Peterson. And Jancy's the one who's been writing like the short story collection, and I think like kind of took over this mostly from Sanderson in the last couple of books. I don't know, like in the short stories for sure. So I'm curious how much was Sanderson and how much is Peterson. I'd be interested to know that. Hellboy universe, 4 stories of fascinating side characters are explored. If you're into Hellboy, check that out. I have not yet gotten into Hellboy. I think I would enjoy it immensely. I just have not yet picked it up yet. Shugo Charo, the 20th anniversary of Volume 3. I was looking at this for my daughter. Um, who is Peach Pit? Because I've clearly read something from them before. Zombie Loan. Okay, I might have read Zombie Loan. Rosen Maiden. Okay. I cannot tell you. I've probably read Zombie Loan at some point in the past. Everyone in this bank is a thief. I already own that. Is that coming out? Is that coming out in Iraq in September? Maybe. Okay. I like the cover. Victorious, V.E. Schwab. I'm going to skip that one. The Sixth Faction by Veronica Roth. Worldwide sensation. I've never seen it before. Step into a bold new Divergent series. No. Uh, Deluxe limited edition of the Sixth Faction. Home for the Homicides. El Casimino. Is this okay? So it's the season for murder when special agents Holly Frost and Mark Shepard report to the idyllic town of Christmas to investigate a very less than idyllic murder. I might pick this up. So El Casimino is the author of oh, what is it? The like knocks them dead. We'll just do one of these because I'm not gonna. Finley Donovan. I read the first Finley Donovan. My wife has read all but the most recent one that just came out. If this is not affiliated with Finley Donovan, though, I'll probably pick this up for a like winter vlog um, because I love doing Christmas themed murder mysteries. Check out some of my other videos on the channel for Christmas themed murder mysteries. All right. They're in for more than the average whodunit. Welcome to Christmas, a town so cozy and charming it could be the backdrop of a Hallmark movie where crime is never in season and it's the holidays all year round. So when a tourist is found stabbed to death by an icicle in the middle of the town's nativity scene, cram all the Christmas things in there. Local police are out of their depth. After all, how do you find a criminal in a town where crime doesn't exist? The stakes are the whole town is relying on Holly and Mark to solve the crime before the annual Jingle Bell Jubilee Festival. Oh no, the prom's tomorrow, which naturally the town's entire economic survival relies on. Plus, whichever of them cracks the case will receive a promotion to major crimes, and there's only one spot. Holly and Mark are both on thin ice after screwing up on the job. This assignment is their only shot at redemption. They can put aside their bitter rivalry, and of course, it's not only their jobs on the line, it's their hearts too. Regrets of their holiday party hookup last year haunt them like ghosts of Christmas past. This is like a perfect amalgamation of murder mystery and Hallmark movie. Like I really am getting that sense. Um, let's see. They haunt like ghosts of Christmas past, so they both want to wrap up this rom-com gone wrong as quickly as possible. With 12 days until the festival, the countdown to catch the killer without killing each other is on. Co-authored by El Cosmino and U.S. Today bestseller Hannah Morrissey, the Black Harbor series. Okay. Home for the Homicides is sexy, lighthearted romp with a dash of merriment and murder. Yeah, I'm gonna read it at some point. I'll probably wait till Christmas time, but I'm gonna read that book. Author Reservation by Stephen Graham Jones. Set 5 years after the events of The Only Good Indians. I've not read that, so we will skip that one. Milk Teeth, best-selling author of The Death of Jane Lawrence. I like that one. Comes a new genre-bending supernatural horror about vampire broodmother fighting against her own monstrous descent. Maybe. Let's read the pitch. Beatrice is a vampire responsible for nursing newly made fledglings through the first year of their unlife. She nests in an abandoned, isolated warren of office space beneath her patron's skyscraper, raising fractious gorgeous, one a heartthrob, now to all appearances a living corpse, who longs for the return of his lover, who made him immortal with all the fervor of a rebellious teen, and Fortunata, the scion of Beatrice's mistress, alien and ambitious in her desires. But when Beatrice decides to take on a third fledgling, the product of an attempted siring gone wrong, teetering between vampiric purity and ghoulish depravity, Beatrice finds herself strained to breaking between the societal and physical demands of her position, her own ravenous hunger and an obsessive need to discover what's happening to her, because her body is changing too, transforming her into something even more monstrous. She begins to crave the taste of flesh, something anathema to all vampires, and to swing between desperate hunger and vicious power. Desperate to master herself once more, Beatrice courts a mortal OBGYN who might be able to help unravel the secrets of her unnatural anatomy, but soon their connection threatens the secrecy of her vampiric coven as well as the safety and development of her dependent nurslings and the humans they stand to slaughter if left to their own devices. This is going to be a wait and see for me. That sounds pretty crazy. It could very well be excellent, but I'm going to wait on reviews. Other Worlds Than These is Stephen King. Probably skip that one. Wondrous. Time to the 75th anniversary of Disney's enduring classic Alice in Wonderland. Young adult sequel follows teenage Alice on a curious new adventure down the rabbit hole. Maybe. Heather Fawcett is author of Emily Wilde. Ooh, okay. I did see, by the way, that we're getting an Emily Wilde #4 next year. Emily Wilde #4, 2027. Okay. I thought that name sounded familiar. All right, let's take a look at it. Because it's Emily Fawcett, we'll give it a shot, right? Let's hear the pitch. Now 18, Alice feels much more comfortable spending her days in Wonderland than in the real world. After all, no one in Wonderland will judge you for being strange, but things in Wonderland have seemed off lately, especially when Alice encounters another teen and then another, both of whom also claim to be named Alice. Uh-oh. Before long, card soldiers capture all three Alices. They're taken to the Queen of Hearts castle, where a strange truth it has been prophesied that a blue Alice will one day save Wonderland from terrible peril. Ever since the White Rabbit has been opening portals to Wonderland for children dressed in blue named Alice. Oh no! And now the foretold danger has three terrifying dragons have appeared in Wonderland from the worlds beyond the doors of Doorknob's hallway. The Queen declares that Alice who can save Wonderland will be named the Alice, and the others will be cast out, never allowed to return. So Alice sets out on a quest to save the land she loves, meeting new friends and enemies along the way, including a strange boy who she isn't sure she can trust. Is Alice truly the Alice, or is she just a footnote in someone else's story? Interesting. Okay. Yeah. If it wasn't Heather Fawcett, probably not, but yeah, it is. Tales from the Territory. Again, this is probably the American release. You See What I See. New York Times bestselling author Peter Swanson pens another fantastically creepy holiday novella featuring a young writer sent to a seaside mansion to help a famous novelist finish his next book. Which one? Who is Peter Swanson? What have I read from this person? The Kind Worth Killing. Christmas Guest. Probably then yes. This will be on my list for novellas or for murder novellas for this winter. When author Nicholas Child is dropped by his publisher, his agent sends him to spend the holidays at Cape Cod Mansion of her other client, Marco Tavers. Marco needs to finish the long overdue follow up to his best selling novel. Nicholas is going to help him. But when Nicholas arrives at Marco's sprawling seaside estate, which is decked out in twinkling lights and a towering Christmas tree, he finds himself in the middle of a gathering where holiday cheer is in short supply, and every visitor seems to have a motive to kill the host. Along with Marco and his wife Nora, who are currently sleeping in separate rooms, also present is Marco's oddball sister, near silent grandmother, ex girlfriend, and her jealous husband and long suffering best friend, Billy Sosa. The most intrigued guest is named James Beers, another writer who believes that Marco's best selling novel was based off his ideas. As Christmas Day approaches, a single boozy night culminates in two corpses, and Nicholas becomes convinced that the whole thing was a setup from the start. With his signature slow burn and deft exploration in dark corners of the human psyche, Swanson's latest mystery is a masterclass in twists and thrills. Dive into the story here and find can Nicholas undercover the truth before the killer strikes again? 128 pages, Christmas murder novella, definitely in time for the holiday season. Going to be looking for that one for sure. Fires of December. I think I've already backed this one, so probably yeah. Forgotten Lands sustained by colorful rivers of demon blood. Child was born in the last hour, the last cold day, the last cold month. Let's call her December. feel like novel of Hoyd's travails. I think there was a Kickstarter for this that I backed. If not, let's read it, and we're gonna read it, right? Like it's a Sanderson novel. It's Hoyd focused. In a forgotten land, let's call her December. As an orphan foundling, December grew up doing her best to fit into the roles society prepared for her. But after a transformative experience, she learns a cataclysmic plague is on the way, one that will curdle the blood rivers and ravage the kingdom. But who will believe her? A poor woman from a small town in the riverbank. Against the impossible odds, she sets sail up the River Violet to warn the king's court, determined to stop a devastating destiny. Armored only with her wits and accompanied by her new friends, a chatty priestess and a fledgling fashion designer, December must navigate incredulous royal officials, twist court intrigue, and a roguish count who might hold the key to her quest and her heart. In the cold days of her youth, society knew what to do with December, but now her eyes burn with wisdom beyond her years, and she will carve out whatever role she must to stave off disaster. 37 pages. Okay, so this is probably might be part of Boyd's collection. But at 37 pages, we're probably going to pick that up as uh, either like the audiobook or we'll find a digital copy somewhere. Spoke. Eisner and Lamba Literary Award nominated creator of Thirsty Mermaids and co-author of the best-selling Lumberjanes series. Okay, so Lumberjanes. Heartfelt graphic novel, probably not. A lot of stuff that we've already seen before. Another offshoot from Mike Mignola. Second Dungeon Crawler Carl graphic novel. I'm still on the fence over whether or not I'm going to pick these up. I do think that the story of Dungeon Crawler Carl will probably work better as a graphic novel, in all honesty. But I'm still working through the series, so I want to finish the actual books before going back and looking at the graphic novel. Going to summertime, every suburban street holds secrets and ghosts, but Summerland Place holds more than most. Team from the Red Mullet Hair Salon head to Summerlane Palace to explore the abandoned house there. What? 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 I've already read this book, but what is this? Like, it's already out. It's probably the paperback. All right. What are we at? November. All right, we'll do November and December, and then we're gonna call it A Conspiracy of Charming Monsters from the brilliant mind of number one New York Times best-selling author Holly Black. Collection of short stories. Wasn't impressed with Holly Black. If you were a fan, I read Coldest Girl in Cold Town. It was fine. But if you are a fan of Holly Black, hey, new Holly Black short story collection coming out. Monsters of Ohio by John Scalzi. Why does that sound familiar? Heartfelt exploration of a tentacular solution to the struggles of modern world from New York Times bestselling authors of Starter Villain. What have I read from them? I didn't read Starter Villain. Yep. Kaiju Preservation Society. Okay, and I read that because it was kaiju. What's this one about? Let's read the description. I liked Kaiju Preservation Society, but like it wasn't anything amazing. It was just it had kaiju, and I liked that. It was pretty much by the numbers, but it worked because I liked the subject matter. In many ways, Richland, Ohio is the same tiny, sleepy rural village it has been for the last 150. Same families, same farms, same heartland beliefs and traditions that have sustained it for generations. Right now, times are especially hard, and social and economic forces inside and outside the community roil the surface of the once placid town. Richland, in other words, is primed to explode, not just the way that anyone anywhere could have expected. And when things do explode, well, that's when things start getting really weird. Daniel Garvey left Richland decades back to find his way in the world, but when he's called back to his hometown to tie up some loose ends, he finds more going on than he bargained for, and is caught up in a sequence of events that will bring his tiny farm village to the attention of the entire world and perhaps spell its doom. I don't feel like there's enough here for me to really tell what that's going to be about, so it's another one that's going to be a wait and see for me. I know who did it. Alex North. Alex North is the one who wrote Whisper Man, I want to say. Um, and it was fine. Again, if I hear a lot of buzz around it, I'll probably pick it up. The hook here: every year, Detective Groves receives a birthday card from his son, even though he buried him years ago. So yeah, could be good. Songs of the Sun Eater. Is this part of the Sun Eater series that I have literally read the first book of? The Advent of Death. Again, this is going to be a Christmas murder mystery. I am going to go ahead and say that I'm going to read it. But let's go ahead. Let's read the actual. Let's read the actual prompt here. When Eddie O'Sullivan receives an invitation from an old friend to spend a pre-Christmas break in the picturesque town of Rye, she jumps at the chance to escape and reconnect. But when she arrives with her wife, Riga, it quickly becomes clear this is no festive getaway. Eddie hasn't been invited for comfort, but to help. For 4 days earlier, her friend's daughter Rebecca, the town crier, received an unusual gift, a handcrafted wooden advent calendar shaped like Rye itself. At first it seemed like a charming curiosity, part of her public role. Then on December 1st, a burglary at 1 Church Square, December 2nd, an ABH at 2 Markello Close, December 3rd, a GBH at 3 Allendale Drive. Each door opened, each crime escalating. Now Rebecca is certain that the calendar is counting down to something far worse, and she's turned to the only person who believes can stop it. Christmas approaching and the body count rising, Eddie must decipher the deadly patterns before the final door is open. Now, which one is the Christmas murder game? Because I read something in Murder on Christmas Express. I've read the Christmas murder game as well. Um, I read something very similar with an advent calendar that hadn't had it like um, you could read it every day of the 12 days of Christmas, and it was fine. This seems like a similar idea, but a different like author, so hopefully it takes a little bit different direction. That was an hour of me going through the upcoming releases for the rest of the year. Found a couple of really cool things, and got to chat about a number of books that I'm excited about. Um, so yeah, a lot of really good things coming up. I think if I had to choose one, I think I'm most excited. The author of The Library at Mount Char is writing something else, and it sounds absolutely insane. And I love it. So let me know again. Let me know down in the comments what you are excited for that's coming up for the rest of the year. Thanks for coming by and hanging out with me. As always, I hope your reading journey is going well. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so we can grow this corner of our BookTube community. And until the next one, take care.